Hey guys, this is Veronica, and today we're going to talk about confidence. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. This is a big struggle for most people, most of their lives, right? And if you can figure this out and really have some key strategies on how to not let it waver, oh man, it makes such a difference in just how you go through life and how you interact with people and how people view you, because we all know there are those confident people that you just admire and you're like, man, if I could just be like them, I would just have so much more, get so much more out of life. And chances are those confident people that, you admire, they have flaws, right? I mean, most humans have some sort of flaw, but they still are confident. And sometimes it can be kind of confusing. Like, well, are some people just born confident and some people aren't? Well, I mean, some people will tend to have more natural just sense of confidence than others. But it's not like if you have confidence, you have it. And if you don't, you can never get it. I had horrible confidence growing up. When I was, in school, especially in middle school, I didn't really have a lot of friends that I felt like wanted to hang out with me. I didn't really like how I looked. I didn't think anyone else did. And, it really gets you. I mean, it's one of those things that it just kind of just weighs on you all the time. And when you just don't feel like you're good enough, I mean, I think that's the true root of lack of confidence, is just feeling like you're not good enough at something. And that's what I want to help you with today, and to just take you through, how I found that, and hopefully help you figure out how to find that as well. For me, I mean, I didn't really start to gain a sense of confidence until I found sports. And as crazy as it is, I really just never felt like I belonged anywhere. I didn't have a friend group I belonged in. I had a good life at home, but I didn't really feel like I truly belonged there. And then I found sports, and I was on a team, and I felt like for once I belonged somewhere. I had this thing, I was with all these other people. We were all doing the same thing, going for the same goals. We had a coach that was helping us along the way, and we were cheering for each other. And oh my God, I just belonged there, We all accepted each other. We didn't care about any differences we had, because the thing we had in common, that sport, was all that mattered. And I finally felt like I was part of community. And that really kind of gave me the permission to experiment. Now that I know these people are gonna accept me on this team, like, I can take risks and I can try things and I can mess up, and I know they're not gonna boot me out. And and that environment I just started thriving in. I could try out something and maybe it didn't work out, but now I know for next time to do it a different way. I could ask other people, like, oh, have you tried this? And what should I do here? And get advice. And, as my competency grew in my sports, my confidence went along with that. That was an idea that I heard recently from Brendan, was gold, which is, he said, competence builds confidence, which is true. I mean, if you don't do great in school and you feel kind of insecure about your smarts, and then you study, you start learning, and you start getting better grades, you start to feel more confident, you feel better, and you feel like you can raise your hand in class and actually contribute. And, I found it was the same thing for me in terms of specifically with my body. All throughout college even, I was very insecure about my body. I mean, there were times when I was feeling good, right? Like, I felt like I looked good, and I was like, yeah, maybe a guy hit on me at a party, and all right, I'm feeling good. And then, maybe 2 days later, you look in the mirror and it's like, I don't like how I look today. And then next day, I don't like how I look today either. And it just turns into this thing where, sometimes when you get that external validation, you start to feel really confident, feel really good. But as soon as that goes away, now it's not there, and you can't rely on that from yourself because you've never given yourself that before. And that's what I started to learn towards the end of college, is that, you know, I was focused so much on getting other people's approval for my appearance, or what I was doing in any respect, you know, social acceptance and having people tell me certain things about myself to validate me, when I couldn't tell myself those things. So why should someone else feel the urge to tell me that if I don't even have that urge to tell myself? And so what I started learning, you know, even recently, was that I need to be that person that tells myself these things that I'm seeking from somebody else. Because who better than who knows me the best? Myself. And, you know, I started doing that. I started realizing, you know, I am, you know, capable of these things, and I can reach these goals that I want, and I am good enough. No one else needs to tell me that I'm good enough. I know that I am. And I know it might sound like, oh yeah, sure thing, Veronica, like I'm just gonna tell myself I'm good enough. Well, yeah, obviously that's easier said than done. It takes a lot of work to be constantly doing that. But one way to kind of speed that up is to build your competency. Because if you feel like, you know, most of the time the things you're lacking in confidence is because you don't feel like you are good at those things. And one thing that I think kind of is a little bit different in that regard is appearance, right? Because most people aren't confident about their appearance, and there's something they don't like. I mean, there are things I don't like about, you know, my appearance. But where the competency comes into place is deciding what it is that truly matters to you about your body. So for me, I used to think I wanted to just look really fit. You know, because I got so into sports, I was like, well, I want to be that person that looks like they work out a lot, because I worked out so much and I worked so hard. And yeah, I'd get results in races, but, you know, then I'd go just to a friend's house, and maybe their parent doesn't know that I work out and they can't tell. And, you know, I just always like the idea of, like, you know, I'd look at athletes and be like, wow, like they look so fit. And I wanted that for so long. And what I started to realize is that you don't actually need to be fit to look fit. You know, there are plenty of people out there who look very fit, but that's because they're pretty much starving themselves. They just basically get enough muscle so that they can have very little body fat, and just those muscles pop. And then there are people who are way fitter than them, but you wouldn't tell because they're a healthier kind of fit. And so they have, you know, some fat covering some of those muscles, which is how it's supposed to be. But we get these ideas in our head that the aesthetic is what we're looking for, where I think a lot of times what people are really searching for is health. But they have this misconception in their minds that they have to look a certain way to be healthy, or so that other people think they're healthy, which is what my goal was for a while. And then, you know, I started realizing I shouldn't be seeking this validation over being healthy from people who don't even know me, or who don't know my insides, or, you know, my blood work, or if I am actually healthy. And as long as I just get that validation for myself of knowing that I'm healthy, then I don't need that from anyone else. So that's what I started doing. I decided, you know, I'm going to just go to the doctor, and I'm lucky enough that I have a great doctor who I really trust. And, you know, I basically told him, like, give me all the tests you can so I can see how healthy I am, because I just really want to make this a priority now, especially after college, when I didn't have to worry about these expectations some of my coaches had about how much time I'd put into the workouts and what kind of food I'd have to eat, and being very specific. Now I could just say, I'm going to optimize my workouts and my food around being the healthiest I can be in a manageable way. And so, you know, I did that. I started getting blood work, and I started working on some of the things that, you know, he was telling me to work on. And I started getting healthier, and I started feeling better. And my confidence followed suit, because I knew my internal body is healthy, and it's reflected externally however my body chooses to reflect it. If that means a little bit of extra, you know, thickness around my midsection, then that's what it means. And there's nothing wrong with that. And the funny thing is, like, there are certain things about your body that you might not necessarily like that somebody else wishes they had, which is kind of a crazy concept for most people to, understand. But I noticed this, actually, I'll have people all the time tell me, oh, I wish you had your quads. And I have very big quads. And I always thought that people, like women especially, liked having thinner legs because it's just, why would you want really thick legs? But what I started realizing is these girls who I assumed had like these bodies that other girls were hoping for were telling me that they wish they had certain, aspects of my body. And it makes you realize that everything's about perspective, and you usually want what you don't have. And, the biggest lesson I've learned is that if you are confident, then automatically people will see you in a better light and see you as honestly more attractive than you see yourself. Because, I noticed this actually in a workout the other day. I was sweating so much. I sweat a lot when I work out. And so I take my shirt off pretty often. And this one workout was pretty grueling. So I took my shirt off maybe halfway through. And then at the end of the workout, one of my friends came up to me and she goes, man, I wish I was as confident as you. I could never take my shirt off. And I looked at her and I'm like, but you're skinnier than me. Like I have some extra weight around my tummy and she does not have that. And I just remember thinking, but you have a great body. Like, you have a better body than I do, and you're scared to take your shirt off. And it's not that it's not that she said, oh man, if I had your body, I would take my shirt off. It was, I wish I was as confident as you. I could never do that. And that really flipped a switch for me. And I realized, wow, confidence is something that you choose. That friend, like, she's choosing not to be confident, even though she could be just as confident as I am, because she looks, just as fit or fitter than I do. But because I have that validation for myself that I know I'm healthy and I know it's reflected in the way that I'm comfortable with, I don't have no problem taking my shirt off, because I don't care if someone looks at me and says, oh, Veronica's looking a little chunkier on the waist. Yeah, well, that's because that's how my body reflects being healthy. And most of the time you'll find that people who have bodies that might look good, but they're not confident, it's maybe because they know that they're not doing it in a way that's healthy, or just because they have these visions of what their body could attain that aren't realistic. I mean, I know my body. I have just naturally thicker thighs, thicker midsection. It takes a lot of effort for me to slim down on like my legs and my glutes and that area and my love handles. Whereas, other women might have issues slimming down their arms or, other things like that. And so you just have to understand that you might see someone like a fitness model who has, who's like a thin rail, and like, you're like, man, if I just did what she did, I could look like that. If you do what she does, you're never gonna look like that. You might look like your version of that. So you might be, a skinnier frame than you are now and have more muscle tone than you have now, but you're not gonna look exactly like her. And that's a mistake a lot of people make, is they think, oh, I'm gonna do what that person does and look exactly like them. Well, no, you're different height than them. You have different bone structures than them. You have different genetics than them. So you're not gonna look exactly like them. You might look close to that, but if you're striving to look like them, you're never gonna be happy. If you're striving to look like the best version of yourself, then that's attainable. And that is a goal that's worth going for. And I can get behind that. I mean, hey, if you want to like try to get to like this crazy level of like really healthy and really, like little fat and like really try to get that optimal body type, yeah, try it. Like, go for it. I mean, you see bodybuilders all the time. They go for that. And, I'll tell you what, most of my friends that have tried bodybuilding tried it once, because they just wanted to know what their body was capable of. And then once they found that out, they were satisfied, and they said, you know what? I know what it's capable of. It's not worth it to get to that point. All of that shit I had to go through. So then they just go back to their regular healthy weight. They eat a healthy diet, and they feel good about it, because they know that's where their body should exist to be healthy. Because if you learn anything from anyone who's ever been a bodybuilder is if you talk to them about what they eat that week before the competition, you'll know right away that that is not a healthy way to live your entire life. So, you know, it's all about having realistic expectations and shooting for those goals you have, because your path to that goal is going to build your confidence. You just have to make sure the goal is realistic for you, because if you shoot for a goal that isn't realistic for you, this is not going to come in the end, because you aren't going to feel good about getting to the level you got to, even if it's an amazing level for you, just because it wasn't the goal that somebody else had or that you think you should have been able to do. So, you know, that's the biggest lesson I want you to take out of this is, you know, get those goals, like figure out what those goals are for you. You know, do you want to be the healthiest you can be? Do you want to be as, you know, fit as you can be? Or do you want to just, you know, learn, like be as smart as you can be at something, and that's your goal, and that will help you build confidence. Whatever it is, just think about it, put a lot of thought into it, and don't take for granted that, you know, just because someone else can do something means that you can do that exact same thing. Focus on being the best you can be in whatever that thing is. All right, I hope that was helpful. If it was, you know, just leave a comment if you can. If it wasn't helpful, let me know as well so that I can improve videos going forward. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for watching.